Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. Rainy. Well, treasury markets doing crazy stuff yesterday. And it looks like they came all the way out. The swing that I was trying to make got stopped out in the overnight. When I looked at it after the extended open, it looked good. I set the stops. It's out. So I'm super pissed about that. I'm wondering here. Let's add the 30-year micros on here. It is Q, right? Yeah, okay. We don't need the snapshots. We don't need the profiles. We don't need the order alert. LTQ. It doesn't even get a volume profile right now. Okay. I'm just going to put this right here. It might take some time because that instrument is not very liquid. I don't have Aquasnap on for some reason. Now, Dali is speaking right now, and she's saying that the high yields aren't really a good signal for the Fed right now, is what she's saying. Does this window just not respond to Aquasnap, I guess? Apparently. How come it's not? One thing I should know is that Daly, whatever, however you say her name, is not a voting member this year. She's a voting member next year. And I've found that whoever it is that's going to be like moving in tends to be more vocal. They tend to become more vocal. And I think that they do that on purpose so that people have a good idea of how the new person is thinking, you know? Well, so far I haven't gotten any level 2 events to center it. So when we get the DOM working on our platform, we should look into that to see if we can fix that. If ours does that. Well, let's come in and look at the charts and see what happened. Okay, corn and wheat are rolling over today for me. So here's the treasuries. Ew. Yeah, so you can see yesterday, here's the initial move, and then it gets wiped out only to go back up there. Now, there was an auction around here somewhere, I think. It was an auction and there was the meeting minutes. And then by the end of the day, it was back up. So I looked at it somewhere around here and thought, okay, this is good. We can continue to let this swing. I don't need to take profits. It's fine. In the overnight, they swiped the whole thing. Now, this part right here is probably Asian session. This part right here is probably London session. So why is Europe shorting it? Really quick, I want to come back out here. I have the British pound. It does look strong overnight. And what about the dollar? A little weak, 98.7. That's kind of interesting. Okay, S&P 500. Well, they're selling pretty hard this morning. Oil moving up. So oil is killing us. Silver and gold. They're coming back pretty hard too. Copper, still struggling. Japanese yen. They're actually holding their gains relatively well. And then Bitcoin. Oh, what the fuck? What? That can't be right. How did I not see that yesterday? It all happened. A lot of it happened while we were here. F happened over here. I'm a little bewildered by that move. Because one, Bitcoin hasn't done anything in a really long time. Two, when it has moved, and there's been, significant developments in Bitcoin, it didn't move nearly that fast. And then I didn't hear anything. I haven't heard any news, people talking anything about Bitcoin at all. What else? We do have initial jobless claims, 206 versus 210, and continuing claims 1.799 versus the expected 1.788. So a little bit higher than expected, but under the 1.8 million. So that's good. Why am I? Future slide is treasury yield surge, erasing percent intervention driven by oil spike. Well, and one thing was that the U.S. is basically, not decided to not negotiate, like negotiations with them are banned or whatever. With the Iranians. I'm not sure if that's the headline that's driving oil. But that's all I read in my evening. Is that real? I'm like, what? How is that real? I wish I could get the 30-year to give me a number here so that I could see how close we are to 5%. Because it kind of sounds to me like the Federal Reserve is like, okay. Well, not the Federal Reserve, the Treasury is like, above 5%, we do something. This is weird that I'm not seeing, like, there's this huge move in cryptocurrency, and there's hardly any discussion about it. We must find the 2.66 billion in shorts liquidated in 24 hours. The largest short liquidation in crypto history. There was a Trump meeting with the crypto people yesterday. Well, okay, here's a Reddit thread, and they think that it's because of the Treasury Department announcement yesterday. Okay, so you know what is something that I find really odd, frankly, is we had that announcement yesterday. The Treasury's definitely moved on that announcement in a way similar to a non-farms payroll that's maybe on the slightly milder side. That seems like a really, really major development to me. And the reaction in the Treasury market is like, I feel like the Treasury market should be like, this is the biggest thing that's ever happened in the last like 5 years in the Treasury market, and it's kind of a little bit too chill about it, to be honest with you. And it's not like the price movement in the Treasuries is doing crazy stuff. It is the yields themselves being at 5%. Like, when news headlines started going off about it, I was kind of like, you know, like, because we'd been watching it when it was happening. It wasn't a big deal to us, to me at least. I really kind of wonder if Besant coming in and doing that had more to do with the headlines that he was reading than the market actually doing stuff, right? So then it happens, and does the Treasury market like really, really move? Nah, kind of comes back. But then later, there's a huge, huge jump in crypto. That's kind of a little bit... Well, so first of all, I think that the move in Bitcoin is probably overdone. Like, there's probably a large portion of it is shorts being liquidated. And so I'm skeptical about how much money is actually coming into crypto, and thus how much money would continue to go into crypto, right? Because from what I've seen in the past, the Treasury, you know, buying back more of its treasuries than before in the 30 year is not the huge change that everybody's making it out to be. Like, when the Federal Reserve was reducing their balance sheet last year and the year before, right, there was a lot of people that said that this was going to happen. So a lot of people that said, not like, the market cannot sustain that yet. They're doing it too soon. So them reneging on it is kind of like, no duh, right? In other words, I think that a lot of this movement is kind of more emotions getting the best of people and, you know, like speculation, and not like real fundamentals driven behavior. So we have to keep an eye on Bitcoin today, I guess. But you're saying that there was a meeting with the crypto people yesterday. That is interesting, but I don't see anything about that. The big thing on that front is that Congress is trying to pass that new law, and like, it's not happening. And the SEC has decided that they're going to do stuff, which I'm not sure. What they said was a little bit vague, so you have to look at like the actual rules that they put out, but it kind of sounded to me like the SEC was saying, "Oh, yeah, you can do an IPO with a coin, and we'll let you do it if you just follow these rules," which I hate. I think it's inconsequential, anyways. Well, I do think, well, I'm not sure which parts you're talking about, but as it relates to the Treasury market, I think I made a big mistake Because I said, well, if the treasury is buying, we want to buy, right? But the mistake that I made was they're buying the long end. And I mistakenly believed that them buying the long end would result in the whole, everything buying up. And that's not what happened. But the other interesting thing about this is that the move down very much happened in the overnight session. So that's kind of curious to me. Well, the crypto people really think that it is that intervention. Intervention combined with a short squeeze. So if I come back here and look at that chart again, let's come and look at the daily Bitcoin chart. Where does that put us? Oh, that's interesting. Well, we're just going to have to see if it holds or not. But, I mean, when you consider where we've been for such a long time, I mean, we really were kind of straight. I was looking for them to get down below this 50, 58, 55 area. They were really skidding along the bottom. So a jump up like that, that's definitely like a violent move driven by short covering. We need to look at one other thing. MSTR. Oh, did they change the ticker? Oh no, it's just I need to have stocks. Strategy Incorporated. So they jumped a little bit, but not nearly as much as crypto as a whole did. Okay. Well, I feel like I'm super late to it, but my feeling on the flows is that we should still be net long during the US session at least. With some concern if oil continues to spike up. Which again, oil isn't necessarily spiking on any one individual headline, or at least any one individual headline that we know is really significant. So okay, so next thing is focus, Seth, focus. Is the build changes that Claude wrote up for us for the GUI. Maybe if things are slow today, I will take a look at their code here during the session rather than tonight. The Claude language calibration issue on GitHub got an official response from Anthropic. What's that? What's this? Hmm. It's not telling me which comment they're talking about. For some reason, the Claude community is like really drawn to the like the upset Hitler memes. You know what I'm talking about? I've seen some really, really funny ones this past day. All right. Well, Seth, focus. I'm all over the place, aren't I? When something like a really big move like that happens, you know, it can really throw me off. Okay. Looks good so far. I don't think it's correct though. Doesn't look correct to me because no wicks at all. Well, I'm going to keep it up here. I'm going to keep it up while Claude is looking at it. So, this thing, I still don't see where they're quoting. But it looks like that people have been reporting this as a bug in the Claude code repository, and they got an automated response from it, essentially. But some of the things that it's saying in here kind of confirms some other things that people were saying. So once somebody else said that if you don't like the way that Claude is talking, that you just give it a different standard for how to talk. So they mentioned, let me search this up. Google Developer Documentation Standards. Google Developer Documentation Style Guide. So we should try that. I wonder here. Well, that doesn't seem right to me. Hmm. There we go. Interesting. When I make a new work tree, it didn't automatically update it. Okay, now I can see it. What is it calling it again? Markers. All right. So when I told it, it's not doing something correctly, it just goes, okay. Okay, so it thinks that it was an issue with indicators in general and not that particular thing, and it's trying to fix it already. Instead of saying, "Oh, here's what's going on," and coming back to me. Oh, Opus 5. Paul, lol, I dislike Bitcoin if unaware. Dude, Paul, I don't know. You must have gotten here a little bit later, but like when I was going through my morning routine, and I came in and I'm going through here, and then I see Bitcoin and I see that, and I'm like, what? Huh? How the? I'm still like looking at that. I'm still bewildered that cryptocurrency popped off like that, and I didn't see a thing about it. I know I've been working hard, and so I haven't been spending as much time during the day, like reading news stories and things like that. But like, I didn't see Zero Hedge, for instance, say a single thing about it. Hardly saw any mentions about it on Reddit. It sounds like that people on Reddit are very much convinced that it is a combination of the Treasury announcement yesterday and short liquidations. And like I said, like when you look at the Treasury market's reaction to it kind of makes me wonder if they think that it's a nothing burger. But when I look at the news, like on TikTok, almost all of the stuff that I got market-wise on TikTok was people talking about the Treasury move. Which, and you know what really bothers me about it? Is that none of the people that I saw talking about this, because a lot of them were like, not people that are like on cable news, but are kind of seem like they're like writing news about this stuff professionally, didn't seem to really understand the underlying mechanics of what's going on. Because I think that that's a really important factor to consider. So I think I'm sharing something that, you longtime guys already know about. But let's just review it a little bit. Once a month, the Treasury issues new treasuries in various maturities. And both the Federal Reserve and the Treasury have a portfolio of bonds that they manage, right? And every month, some of their portfolios some of the bonds in their portfolio expire. So if you just never do anything, then all of the bonds in your portfolio expire. And that's not good. So what do? They buy some of them back, right? When some of them expire, they replace them. And what's been going on is they're trying to wind down their balance sheet. So the amount of them that they replace goes down over time until it goes to zero. And then they're not, then they're completely wiping everything off their balance sheet, right? So what that means is, like, especially at auction time, less buyers, less demand for the treasuries, essentially is what it comes down to. So when that happens, when the Federal Reserve makes changes like that, it has very measurable effects on the treasury market, and it tends to be that the treasury markets go up. But in this instance, they're saying, we're only adjusting it on the long end, which is a little, it's basically yield curve control. And so in this instance, only the long end really stayed. Only the move in the long end kind of held. And then when you come back and look at it, well, I think that the move overnight had probably more to do with oil. Okay. But when you look at this, okay, the spreads going down, that's a flattener. What's a flattener? Sell the front, buy the back. Sell the 5s, 2s, and 5s. Buy the 30 and 10s. So, flattener, big flattener is what happened. But then the absolute level of the treasuries were down considerably. And when would this kind of stuff really matter to, like, when will the flows actually be seen? Well, people will get in front running, but when will you see the flow? At auction. That's kind of a key component. And so, like, yeah, it should move the treasuries, but is this like this grand, like, oh, here's where it all falls apart, yada yada? Probably not. Like, so that's the mechanics of it, right? Nobody's talking about that. What are people talking about? Oh, well, you know, this is where the U.S. debt starts to become a big problem, and everything is downhill from here, and doom and gloom, all of these sorts of things. I'm not convinced. Most of the time, this sort of thing happens, and, like, everybody forgets about it. Like, it's a thing for, like, that day, that week, and then everybody forgets about it. And the Treasury and the Federal Reserve get their way. Like, that's what tends to happen. By the way, this down move, look at some of the prints on this down move. There's some serious money going short the treasuries here, in spite of oil coming down. So I think that we are now starting to see, these aren't flows that we could necessarily predict, but I think that we are now starting to see, like, various discretionary hedge funds and position traders, people making overall bets, coming in and doing things. Which kind of suggests to me, by the way, that when the treasuries buy up, and eventually it will happen, there will be a lot more stops along the way. That is to say, people stopping out. So I had Opus rewrite one of my plans, and at the very end it says, worth noting, I kept the technical content identical, including the parts the style guide would arguably tell you to cut, like the one convenient afternoon away line about the feature gate. So it's basically saying this kind of strange riddle-like behavior, like that it speaks in riddles, that Opus does, it insisted on keeping some of it. So that kind of makes me skeptical about that if it actually worked.
Block cell.
Okay. It is time to restart the application. Suggests to me the beginning of the end, the crash is coming, the bubble goes pop. Like, I really don't think so, Paul. Like, I mean, it's not the first time that we've done quantitative easing It's not the first time that they've come in and like intervened in the markets in some form.
Block buy.
You know, so this morning, Dali was speaking, right? And the beginning of her
Sell.
speech, she said a couple of things that I think are really important and are very insightful. Like she says, well, the yields getting really high here isn't automatically a signal to the Federal Reserve that they need to change something. That, you know, yields are getting high because of other things unrelated to the money supply in the United States. High yields is kind of a persistent problem around the world. And then there's oil to boot, right? And so that in and of itself doesn't say, oh, the Federal Reserve needs to hike. I think she's right. And again, like if the prices were like really cratering, if the treasury prices were really cratering, then maybe I would feel a little bit different about it. Well, this move down here, they are trading 7s and 5s like almost every step. I should reset it so that I can tell where we're at, because it seems like we did another tick down. That kind of a move is a little bit concerning. If it was like, you know, it extended and broke below the low with that kind of volume today, and then it did it tomorrow, and then it did it the next, like that's when you really got to get worried about what's going on, right? Is that you're getting these persistent flows coming out of nowhere that are just absolutely killing the treasuries. Well, something's going on. I wonder if other countries are adjusting their treasury holdings because of what's going on. If other countries like start massively, okay, this is a big buy, start, you know, dumping treasuries, that could be a bigger deal. Okay, let's see here. So that's different. That has wicks. Cool beans. So I think what I need here, I'm just going to make a new chart here and split it out and put it next to the treasury. Oh, and it needs to be ZN. I was like, that doesn't look right. Okay, that looks right. Indicators. Cumulative deltas candles. Reset none. Okay. Well, they're not exactly the same. So let's zoom in on this little piece right here. Like this bar right here, slightly different where the close of it was, and thus the next bar is slightly different. like they're telling a similar-ish story, but they are slightly different. This one maybe looks a little bit better. Well, the treasury has moved up one tick again, and now there's a big iceberg on the bid. Wow. Steph, how are you? I was just looking at my candles there and comparing it to what I get in NinjaTrader. Seeing slight differences, but nothing to panic about. I'm definitely going to have to do some experiments at some point where I'm outputting all of the values and directly comparing them so that I can see the differences. 76.90, someone in the yes is sitting there. Well, that's interesting. I mean, we're having a weird session so far. The treasury market is trading some big trades through here. There was some big movement overnight down. We kind of recovered to start the session. There has been a big move down, and then even these last two ticks up, it's been 5Ks on each one. So some like really big orders getting involved. The ES2, yeah, big orders in ES2. It is, yeah, this whole thing is interesting. I'm kind of just at the moment thinking about my trading platform here. If I'm gonna, I'll pull this over here for a second so that I can kind of see my other screen, and I'm going to try and duplicate the screen over there. So this one should be ES, and then that one should be ES. How should I do this? Actually, let's like close all of these. I need to make a function where you can like make all of the windows the same size or something like that. Let's see here. And then, oh, you know what? I don't think that that'll work. I think what I just did kind of screw it up. Because now if I want one, how do I get it to be like this? No, that's not right. Well, let's try this again. I say new chart. What I actually want is like, oh, come on. I know you can do it. There we go. Okay. What? There we go. Oh, why does it put it down there? That's interesting. $30, $10, $5. Have them all on the 1 minute. Okay. These here are 1 minute. What's wrong with the... A little bug there, I think. Foil. Okay, that's wrong. I wonder if it's because I picked it from the favorites and not from here. No. Because it should be, it's still not giving me a 30 year over here. I'm just going to minimize that. CLV. CLV. Okay, that bar works. The rollover is not quite working. I have to fix that at some point. Let's make a note here. Definitely work on the, you know, how we rearrange these. Okay. But anyways, new chart. Put it over here. Yes. Okay. Interesting that it can't expand beyond this window. So we're gonna fix that. Shares of Alibaba falling after Q1 results. J. BTC. Bitcoin. I was like, why is it not showing? Okay. Bug right there too. Weird bug on that one. Come on. So now that I am setting things up to like try and duplicate my other workspace, I'm starting to see some of the problems here, because like the grids and everything don't match up very well. Don't like that. Because I don't, because there's not like a clear line of where each around each border, so I can't like match them up. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. Well, anyways, in here, oh, and I don't have the spread thing, so that's the other thing that I need to put on here. But I can do this cumulative delta candles. We'll add that for sure. All of these. So that's pretty good for now. Okay. But otherwise, seems to be working well. I love the way the mouse cursor thing works. This is pretty good. Okay, here's the E-mini starting.
Block buy.
Kind of a bullish jump going into it too, isn't there? Mirror, good morning. I'm going to, just because I did all of that, I'm going to close the platform and then reopen it just to see that all works. And also, you know, it'll reload all of the data and the LLM can take a look. There's a spot right there. Could, well, why not? No, come on. Yay. It looked close there for a second, but actually I think I pulled that one off pretty well. Okay, so there's also an issue with the dispatcher because it's doing the delta backfill and it's going slow. We'll see if it finishes. ZN, ES, CB, ZF, ZN. 53 requests. What? Okay. I think I just need to be patient. There we go. Yes. Yeah, once all of the data was loaded. But there's a problem in that when it's doing that, nothing else loads. That's not a problem with the thing that I made. That was a problem that was kind of existing and I sort of suspected. But now I have really good confirmation that yes, that is what's happening. So okay, so let's there's another one. That one doesn't look as good of a line. So treasury just went down a tick and then pushed back 2 ticks. So that's a little bit more volatile than normal. Oh, here's the story about the crypto meeting that we were looking for. Trump says U.S. is leading by a lot in AI crypto and wants to keep it that way. Donald Trump touted U.S. leadership in cryptocurrency and artificial intelligence on Wednesday during a White House meeting with technology executives and financial regulators as his administration pushes ahead with more industry-friendly approach to digital assets. Representatives from major cryptocurrency companies like financial institutions including Coinbase, Ripple, and NASDAQ were in attendance, along with SEC Chair Paul Atkins and CFTC Chair Mike Selig. Criticize Biden. CC proposed new rules that would provide exemptions for certain cryptocurrency token offerings, potentially making it easier for companies to issue tokens and raise money. Yeah. Dog is freaking out. I'm a little concerned for the dog, but my wife has it taken care of. It's just going, like when it's breathing, it's like throat is, I don't know. Maybe she's having an asthma attack. Can dogs have asthma attacks? I think so. This is funny that you guys all say yes at the same time. Yes, dogs can have asthma and allergy. Because it sounds like
Blocks L.
like every time she breathes out. Here's Opus 5 making changing again without telling me. It is fixing a real defect. I'm just worried it's fixing something that maybe I should do in a different branch or a different change set. They seem to be reacting really strongly to what the S&P 500 is doing over here. Let's just really quickly load the levels. Dogs, like humans, can develop allergies later in life. Yeah, I think that like they opened the door to take pictures out front because it's the first day of school, and the dog got too excited. Let me go check again. She's okay. I came. So I go over there. She's sitting on the couch. Like she's just sitting calmly on the couch. I say, "Are you okay?" And she goes, just one time, and then, okay. And the other dog is just like a hyper excited at the moment. Thinks that I'm there to that it's a game or we're gonna play them or something. Well, what it's a mutt. It's she's like a Shih Tzu. What are those ones with the? She's a Shih Tzu Maltese mix. Sorry, I'm more. Thing is, she's not that old. They're only like 3 or 4 years old. I needed to do something about these texts too. Like I don't know, for the stream, maybe it's useful to have it like that. But for me personally, I think that what I would rather have is the line, and I can decide whether it shows the price or not. And I can show the price in the axis gutter here instead of out in the chart. And then if I mouse over it, it will tell me which line, it'll tell me the name of it. So that, you know, I can keep it clean, because I like it clean, but it looks cool, you know, like I could see viewers preferring it that way, because some of you guys want to know what the exact numbers are on some of that stuff and what they are. And that way, somebody turn on the vacuum. That way, oh wait, what was that? I think that my I don't know if you guys heard it, but I think that my headphones were like picking up some electronic noise there. Weird today, but it's the first day of school, so anyways. I'm more concerned though by, well, I don't know. Problem is there's so many things we can do, right? And I think that we did a pretty good job keeping the AI slop to a minimum and, you know, looking at everything. But I think that there's going to be a lot of refinement that we have to do. Through this stream, seeing the small white letters like the one saying the price are hard to see. It kind of blurs a bit due to YouTube. Oh, really? Even if you have the stream quality set to 1080p? I mean, with the default codec that it wants to use, it might be hard to see. Really? That's interesting. I have all sorts of information. YouTube is going to poop more and faster than you believe. You think so, huh? Well, what do you think about the change they made like 2 days ago or whatever, saying that like any watch time whatsoever counts as a view? Which, isn't that the way that it was like 3 years ago anyways? I don't know. But people on Reddit were freaking out about it. And I'm kind of like, well, without telling me how the other algorithms are affected by that, I don't know if you can really tell how this is going to change anything. Or like, you can't, how do you know what the change for an individual channel will be? For example, YouTube has been battling against using browsers in general, lowering browser quality and causing purposeful difficulty to try and encourage TV and console watch. And yes, it has always been an instant click is a view. I can't believe no one noticed. Like, for real, for ridiculous. People didn't notice that you could click on a video and scroll through one and it goes in your history anyways. Well, yeah, but it didn't count as a view for the video. There was like a minimum watch time engagement metric of some sort, or it didn't count as a view. And I think they were always kind of like, because remember this whole thing? Oh man, how long ago was this now? It feels like it was relatively recently, like a year ago, when everybody was like, oh, everybody's views across the platform are down. And what's with that? And like, what did they change? And all that sort of a thing, right? People didn't notice videos going in their history and being repeatedly recommended because they didn't. Oh, I definitely noticed that. I hate that. The thing I hate is like if I'm browsing on my TV and you change the selector over a video, it starts auto playing it, and then that counts as it playing. Ugh. So then it keeps recommending that video. No thanks. No thanks. It was with Facebook, and ad times people weren't viewing ads for the minimum time. So guess what changed? The minimum time. But so the other thing is that their explanation for it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. They said, well, the views weren't accurately reflecting a YouTube channel or a brand's reach. And so, yada, yada, yada. Okay. Did you hear a static there? Maybe that was just my phone. So I'm wondering if it's kind of like, if I'm a brand, you know, I might not necessarily care about how good their certain metrics are, like their retention and the things that YouTube really cares about. I care primarily how many views are there, because I can pay money to improve some of those things. Like, you know, the creator is going to make a more interesting video because of me, and more people are going to want to watch, you know, all of these sorts of things. And so I care more like what the channel's base reach is, because I'm piggyback. That's my base. And then everything that I can do increases it beyond that, you know? So I'm wondering if that it has something to do with that, or it's just a cop-out. Like, that's just the best explanation they could come up with, and that it really happens because, you know, they want to charge advertisers more. You know what I mean? It does seem like that the current CEO is not the same as what YouTube used to be. Like, I'm just not seeing... One of the things that frustrates me is, like, they will kind of talk about, like, oh, we should have this and we should have that and blah, 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 blah. And then nothing ever happens. Like, I mean, you guys have the ability to improve the platform for creators. Why aren't you doing it? The thing that frustrates me is that during what I would consider the golden age of YouTube, the primary driver of traffic to videos was search. And it really seems to me that when they realized that they got more engagement and watch time and whatnot from videos that they show people on the front page, and most of the viewership came from the front page, is when everything started going downhill. Right? Then it was no longer about the quality of the content. It was all clickbait and like the content being not quality content, but like extravagant or, you know, some, oh my gosh, amazing, the Mr. Beastification of YouTube, essentially, right? And the sad thing is that and I would say that this is mostly like post 2020. So I guess the last 6 years. It's crazy to think that it's been 6 years now. Like we've had more of our channel post COVID than pre-COVID. But the thing that frustrates me is that as bad as that is, I still think that YouTube is head and shoulders above every other platform in terms of how well they treat their creators. For now, well, so if YouTube really changes things in a way that's negative for creators, who is going to be the best for creators then? Because I think that the content creation business is more competitive than people realize. And if creators get a better deal somewhere else, they will all just move to that other place, and it could happen really quickly. I think people would be shocked and appalled at how quickly that creators could shift if there's another platform that treats them better, you know? All the channels that got banned by YouTube. I have heard of some of that. No, it's not just that. It's like, okay, so why is YouTube good for creators? Number one, you get paid for your content, right? You will make more money on YouTube for the effort than any other platform, hands down. I don't doubt that there are people that have made a ton of money from other platforms, especially Instagram. Like Instagram is probably number 2, but I could be wrong about that. You know, the TikTok has been, you know, a lot of people became rich off of TikTok, but I kind of feel like TikTok is on the downturn now too. And most creators, it's only like you really have to be. It's not just like, okay, on YouTube, if you're a creator and you've built up a respectable channel, you're probably pulling in $100 a month, something like that, right? But on TikTok, unless you're like one of the top 20 creators, you're like making jack squat, right? So you make more money and you get more exposure from YouTube, and YouTube has more outreach and tools for the creators and education and events and people that are there just to interact with creators and keep them happy and all of that sort of stuff is just better and is almost non-existent at these other places, right? So I don't see where all of the sudden it would be so bad at YouTube that people would switch to Instagram, for instance, right? Like that's the problem. But if there was another video platform and you got a good audience at that video platform, it was growing and they were giving you a better deal, like they were giving you a higher percentage of the advertisements or something like that, then I think creators would move over to that. Because it's not hard for creators to do that, right? Creators can just like repost their video content on every platform if they want. So it's way more competitive than people realize. It's just the difficulty is getting a platform started. But if YouTube becomes so terrible, you know, like if all of a sudden somebody like me who's had a channel now almost 10 years and through most of that time has been in the YouTube partner program and making advertising revenue from it and whatnot, and if all of a sudden they cut that off, right, that would be about the point at which I think that small creators in particular would revolt and start focusing on other platforms. Well, other channels lose well, okay, but that's a completely different issue than what we're talking about. Yeah, YouTube has been pretty aggressive about fighting against AI content. And there have been some channels that were taken down. And a problem that YouTube has always had is that if there is an issue with your channel, that's unfair. There's no real way to fight it unless you tweet about it and an important enough person at YouTube notices, right? Or you're like Linus, like there's situations where like stuff has happened to the Linus Tech Tips channel, and if it had been any other creator, they would have just been SOL. But because it was Linus, YouTube fixed it, right? So treasuries have been stuck at this 14.5 15 area, but there's been some big trades in there. And the S&P 500, I find the S&P 500 to be uninspiring again today. There's a little bit of a jump on the open, but since that time, it's kind of been meh. They're kind of skipping along the opening range low here. They actually breached it by a teeny tiny little bit and then bounced back up. You know what is another thing about YouTube? Is I really think that a lot of stuff that you're seeing in all of the tech companies have to do with the interest rates. Like interest rates are high, that's putting pressure on companies, and so where do they find efficiencies? And in a lot of cases, it is coming at the expense of customer experience. For a lot of tech, it's kind of like, well, like for YouTube, well, people have to put up with us. So Yeah, we won't put as much money into our infrastructure so that you can get quality streams. We're not going to make new features for you. All that. Yeah. And when you consider that, like, I don't think that YouTube overall really makes a ton of money anyways. That means that when interest rates are high, that's the kind of business that suffers the most. Wow. Strategy is up 3.5. Wait, is that 100,000 million billion? Strategy is up 3.5 billion on its Bitcoin holdings today. Oof. Oh, well, is 60 billion revenue a lot? Yeah, but is that net? Is that, I think that that's just how much revenues they bring in. I don't think that that's the net profitability of it. They have like insanely high costs too. And I think that recently, you know, the last 10 years that YouTube has been profitable, but for most of YouTube's existence, it was a net loss the whole time. YouTube wasn't, or Google wasn't making money from YouTube. It was, they were making money from AdSense. And at least on the ledger, YouTube was a net loss. I do wonder how much of the Bitcoin move was because of the president talking yesterday, and it was just kind of like a coordinated by event sort of a thing. Oh, it wants me to restart it again? This latest change in my trading platform, some of the things that Claude is saying about it when it's like, oh, okay, you know, I changed this and this and this. Makes me be like, wait, why is it doing that? That doesn't sound right to me. Like it's saying, oh, this one didn't have Wix because blah, 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 blah. So is what it doing is it's using, it's like getting the open and close in general first, and then it goes and it makes the Wix in a separate process. And is that really what I want it to do? So I'm going to have to investigate the code pretty deeply. Although I think I'm going to have it do refactoring and so forth first. Okay, so see here, it's doing it on my main chart. Okay, now pretty much everything else is loaded. Yeah. Okay, so it did fix one problem, which is that the GUI comes up faster. It's not doing my DX yet for whatever reason. But I think that now it is doing the tick replay stuff. Oh, maybe it's done. No, it's still going. It's still going. Do you have I'm not sure what that means. Is that to say, like, have I spoken to Rhythmic and had them verify the platform for distribution to other people? Is that what you mean? Okay, now it's done. I was, my plan, yes, that you're allowed to use Rhythmic, yeah. So, my plan has been to get to, like, get to where I'm happy with it and its performance, that I'm pretty much using it exclusively myself and not NinjaTrader anymore. And that's the point at which I would want to go through the process to get it certified or whatever we'll call it. You use conformance. I haven't seen that word used anywhere, so I'm kind of wondering where you're picking that up from. Pre-production validation process required by Rhythmic to verify the custom trading application integration interacts safely and correctly with the So we're definitely not anywhere close to that yet. I know. I suppose it's a big risk, isn't it? But I think we'd be fine on that one. Now, when we add your stuff in and you know, we're submitting orders, then that becomes a lot harder, isn't it? Doesn't it? But so you know, the other thing I've kind of been wondering, because did oh, well, he's not here today, but you know, I did give Tom like access to, you know, alpha access, I guess. I haven't heard anything from him. I want to have 10 people pay for the GUI and using it regularly. How do I get to that first 10 customers without a launch video? Because it's not launch yet, so we're not doing that. It seems like not enough of my viewers are actually using Rhythmic. My live stream viewers, at least. Because I'm thinking the last version that I cut is like, you're gonna open everything up and, you know, yeah, this all works, this is great, okay, cool, right? this version, you're going to open it up. You're going to look at all of the new features that are in there and check that they work and be like, yeah, okay, that's okay. But then you're going to be like, okay, I want to actually use it. And you can start doing things, and then you're going to find the parts where there's a lack of polish, right? And the big concern I have in my mind right now is there's still tons of features that I need to add. And at every step along the way that I'm adding those features, there is levels of unpolish and slop that get injected. And how much work is it going to be to fix all of that before people can really use it? That's going to be a hard part. But now that there's two of us, I think we'll be able to work it out. Oh, I didn't notice that the treasuries came up 4 ticks. Oil is pushing lower. The E-mini is still kind of toying around with the opening range low. Okay, so now that it's been open for a little bit, let's have Claude take a look again. Sounds like we need some work to get child to school. I'll be back. Best stream ever. Aren't markets quite on the negative considering they've announced money printing yesterday? Well, the thing is that it's not explicit quantitative easing per se, right? It is reversing some of the roll off of the balance sheet that we did only on one end of the curve. So far, it's really only had a dramatic impact on that long end of the curve. Like even the 10-year hasn't really, it's only really the 30-year that's really being affected. So, and I don't think that change really affects the calculus for equities. It's really more just that long end of the curve. It's really just those long end treasuries that are going to be affected. So, and the market still seems to be on a, like summer trading kind of regime. So, well, the treasuries kind of recovered their earlier losses. So there's that. But overall, yeah, kind of a, like the thing is everybody in the news media made a big deal about that announcement yesterday, but I really don't think that I think that a lot of people are making it out to be a bigger deal than it is. For the treasuries, that should be, you just buy it. But I made a mistake too, right? I made a mistake thinking that all of the treasuries would be dramatically affected by that, when really the good trade was the spread trade. I should have just traded the flattener directly. I should know better. Like, it's always kind of one of these things where it's like, you know that something's happening and there's a flow coming in. You want to expose yourself directly to that flow, and trying to get it from like a, related instrument or whatever never seems to quite work out well. But I do think that in the long run, like a week from now, treasuries will probably be higher unless something happens in the Strait of Hormuz, right? You got the basic deep charts. Okay, so is there a few? By the way, offer a where you were the one that wanted alpha access in Discord, right? Were you ever able to run it? Oh. Offer a registered when does it's forever. Well, I mean until we stop alpha testing, I guess. So at some point I will say we're at a strong enough point that we can do like a public beta sort of a thing. And then I'll probably cancel all the existing licenses. But right now, like, I'm really looking for testing that is like, you know, the chances of your run, there's like a 50-50 chance that you run it and it just like straight up doesn't work for you because something about your computer that I didn't consider, right? Does it have DX feed? So I want to have DX feed. For some reason, whenever I talk to them, I get like they miss the follow-ups. It's like I have a meeting with them and then it's like, okay, we'll follow up, you know, give me the API, blah 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 blah, and then they don't do it. And I think that it's just like happens to be that like they went on vacation and maybe they don't think it's that serious, you know? Yeah, maybe. Oh, is DX feed in Berlin? I didn't know that. But then they were basically saying that you have to have a minimum of 10 subscribers every month, essentially. And if you don't meet that, then you have to pay them to make up for it. A certain amount. So my thinking on it has been, while I really, really do want to add it right now, I don't necessarily need to be in a rush to do that. That I could do it post-launch. Because I don't think that adding DX feed will radically change the GUI. So, you know, I have a pretty good layer between the application and the data layer so that it can be data feed agnostic. So certainly there will need to be some refinements there. Well, the people that I was talking to did sound like they had like Eastern European names. Yeah. So anyways, and the other thing is I don't know if paying monthly for DX feed, me personally right now, makes a whole lot of sense. By the way, what eval gives you both rhythmic and DX feed data? That's cool. Well, so I'm gonna have to get going here soon to try and take the child to school because he would not get on the bus. So I'm gonna have to carry him onto the car and carry him to the classroom and everything. Yeah, so we'll shut things down. I think it gives me candles for my cumulative delta with Wix. But the way that it has gone about doing that does not make sense to me. I think that there's going to have to be some changes and refinements to it. So, yeah. Anyways, I will see you guys tomorrow. Man, is it already? Tomorrow will be Friday. See you guys tomorrow. We'll see. Hopefully the treasuries come back up to where they were. I mean, I would really like to see the treasuries at 109 even. But anyways, in the meantime, stay excellent.